We've mapped Mars in more detail than we've mapped the bottom of our own ocean. Less than 25% of the seafloor has ever been seen by human eyes. And the part we have seen, we stopped going back. So today, we're asking the question nobody at NASA or the Navy or any deep-sea program seems to want to answer. What's actually down there? In 1960, two men, Jacques Picard and Don Walsh, did something no one has repeated in over 60 years. They descended nearly 7 miles down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench in a steel capsule called the Trieste. They saw the ocean floor. They reported strange lights. And then the program that sent them there was quietly shut down. It would take 52 years before another human being went back down. In a century where we put rovers on Mars, built space stations, and mapped the surface of the moon down to the meter, the deepest place on our own planet sat untouched. Why? Ask a marine scientist, and they'll give you the answer that makes sense on paper: cost. Building a vessel that can survive the pressure at the bottom of the trench, pressure equivalent to 14,000 pounds pushing down on every single square inch, is absurdly expensive, more expensive, dollar for dollar, than most space missions. And that's true. That part isn't a conspiracy. It really is that hard. But here's what doesn't add up. We do spend that kind of money on space. NASA's budget alone is over $20 billion a year. Ocean exploration funding is a tiny fraction of that, even though the ocean is right here. We chose to look up, not down. Here's where it gets interesting. In 2012, when James Cameron funded and piloted his own solo dive to the bottom of the trench, he wasn't operating alone. Documents later showed the dive was closely monitored by naval and defense-linked observers. Why would a film director's personal deep-sea dive need that kind of attention? One theory, and it's a reasonable one, is that the deep ocean isn't just unexplored, it's strategically important. Submarine warfare, sonar mapping, undersea cables that carry 99% of global internet traffic, all of it runs through waters we call unexplored, which raises an uncomfortable possibility. Maybe it's not that we can't go back. Maybe it's that certain people would rather the rest of us didn't. And then there's the sound. In 1997, hydrophones thousands of miles apart picked up the loudest underwater sound ever recorded. It came from roughly the location of the trench. It was audible from 4,000 miles away. The official explanation is an icequake. Ice cracking somewhere in Antarctica, but the origin coordinates never fully lined up with any known icequake, and to this day it's filed as unexplained. Now, before this turns into science fiction, let's ground it in what's real. We do know the trench is alive. In the deepest, darkest, most crushing environment on Earth, scientists have found fish, shrimp-like creatures, and microbial life that shouldn't survive that pressure, but does. Every single dive to that depth has found something new, every one. Which means the honest answer to what's down there isn't aliens, and it isn't a hidden base. It's simpler and almost stranger. We genuinely don't know, not because it's classified, but because we've barely looked. 3/4 of the seafloor remains a blank map, not a scary map, just blank. So why does this feel like a cover-up, when the real answer might just be neglect? Maybe because the truth is almost harder to accept than a conspiracy. A conspiracy means someone, somewhere, is in control and knows the answer. The blank map means nobody does. We've chosen, again and again, to look outward instead of down, to fund the stars instead of the trench sitting beneath every ship that's ever sailed. And until that changes, the deepest place on Earth will stay exactly what it's been for 60 years. Unexplored, unexplained, and still down there, waiting. So was it cost, strategy, or something we haven't figured out how to ask yet? Let me know what you think is really down there in the comments. And if this kind of mystery is your thing, subscribe, because we're going a lot deeper than this.